Welcome to the Classic Soap Operas podcast. Tonight, we're diving into a true television mystery. I'm talking about a show that had the powerhouse producers behind Dallas, a cast packed with future superstars, and enough scandal to fuel a decade. So why did it completely vanish after just 8 weeks? Let's uncover the secrets of Midland Heights.
Yeah, that's how critics were describing it. Secrets of Midland Heights was basically engineered in a lab to be a massive hit. It was created by the undisputed kings of the nighttime soap, the guys who could do no wrong. It had the pedigree, it had a cast of young, talented actors just on the verge of breaking out. So the big question is, why have you probably never even heard of it? Well, that's the secret we're going to crack tonight.
Okay, so to really understand what happened here, we've got to go back in time. Back to the golden age of the primetime soap opera. You know the one, big hair, bigger shoulder pads, and betrayals that were just epic.
So picture this, the late 70s, early 80s. One production company, Lorimar, is dominating the airwaves. Their show Dallas wasn't just a hit, it was a global phenomenon. So naturally, they were on the hunt for their next big thing. And in December of 1980, they launched Secrets of Midland Heights, a show they designed specifically to hook a younger, hipper audience that maybe wasn't watching Dallas.
I mean, just look at the talent behind the camera. David Jacobs, Lee Rich, Michael Fullerman. These guys were absolute titans of television drama. They basically had the Midas touch. Everything they produced seemed to turn into ratings gold. With this dream team in charge, Secrets of Midland Heights wasn't just expected to do well, it was practically guaranteed. And they stacked the deck with an incredible cast, too.
For one of the lead roles, they cast this young actress, who, just a couple years later, would become one of the most famous, most iconic heroines in the history of science fiction.
And for the main guy, they found this really charismatic actor who would go on to become a total staple of 90s action TV. Are you putting the pieces together yet?
And there they are. This was the show's secret weapon. We are talking about Linda Hamilton, the future Sarah Connor, and Lorenzo Lamas, who would become a huge action star. The cast was just filled with talent, like Melora Hardin, who you definitely know from The Office. You see? This wasn't just some forgotten flop. It turned out to be this unlikely launchpad for some serious Hollywood royalty.
All right, so, legendary producers, a killer cast full of future stars. So let's get into the good stuff. What was the show actually about? What kind of scandals were hiding in this supposedly quiet little town? Midland Heights was, on the surface, your classic all-American college town in the Midwest. You know the vibe. But underneath that perfect exterior, it was an absolute hotbed of secrets. And here's the key difference from Dallas. This show wasn't about boardroom backstabbing. No, it zeroed right in on the messy lives of teens and college students, and then mixed all their drama with the secret affairs of their parents. So the whole show kind of ran on these two tracks at the same time. On one side, you had all the teen angst. We're talking rich, good girls secretly dating high school dropouts from the wrong side of the tracks, and characters like Linda Hamilton's, who was juggling a jock and a frat boy. Then, on the other side, you had the parents, who were all tangled up in these secret affairs and power struggles that threatened to tear the whole town apart.
But the most explosive storyline, the one that was just a masterclass in melodrama, okay, you have to follow this. Teenager Holly Wheeler wants to, take the next step with her boyfriend, Teddy. Simple enough, right? Wrong. Turns out Holly's mother is secretly having an affair with Teddy's widowed father. I mean, come on, this was the kind of completely unhinged drama you'd see on daytime TV, but it was playing out in prime time. With storylines this juicy, what could possibly go wrong?
As it turns out, a lot. The show had the pedigree, it had the cast, it had the over-the-top drama. But it was missing the one thing it needed more than anything else, an audience. And the reason why is just a classic story of unbelievably bad timing.
CBS decided to schedule the show for 10 p.m. on Saturday nights. This was, and still is, what people in the industry call a death slot. Now, think about their target audience again, teenagers and college students. The very people you are guaranteed will not be home watching television on a Saturday night. It was a completely baffling decision that basically crippled the show before it ever had a fighting chance.
And you can see the results right here in the numbers. The show premiered to a pretty respectable 11.8 million people. But after that, the viewership was all over the place. Now look at that bizarre spike for episode 4. A massive 22.2 million people tuned in. Why? Well, it aired on December 27th, right after Christmas, a night when pretty much everyone was home with their family.
It proved that an audience did exist for the show if they were home to see it, but it was a total fluke, and the numbers crashed right back down the next week.
So, after this wild ratings ride, CBS didn't waste any time. They made a quick decision. The show was canceled after just 8 episodes had aired.
But here's the crazy part, the part most people don't know. 3 more episodes were already finished. I mean, filmed, edited, paid for, and they were just left to collect dust on a shelf, completely unaired.
So, the show got pulled, the last episodes were hidden away, and that was the end of the story from Midland Heights, right? Case closed? Well, not quite. At the time of the cancellation, the producers actually insisted that this was not the end. They announced publicly that the show was going to be retooled and would return in some other form. They were absolutely determined to make this thing work. And here's what happened next. The producers took a lot of the same writers and crew and created a new show for ABC called King's Crossing. It was basically a reboot, but that one failed to find an audience too, and it got canceled really fast. You know who the real winner was in all this? Lorenzo Lamas. He immediately jumped over to another CBS soap, Falcon Crest, and became a massive star for 9 seasons.
So when you look back at all of this, how are we supposed to remember this show? Was it just a forgotten failure? A classic example of a surefire hit that completely flopped? Or was it something more? Was it an accidental but totally crucial stepping stone for some of Hollywood's biggest future stars?
Ultimately, I think that's the strange and fascinating legacy of Secrets of Midland Heights. The series itself is totally lost to time. It's like a ghost in the history of television. But the careers it launched, they went on to help define the entire decade that followed. The soap disappeared, but its secrets, and especially its stars, are definitely still with us.
Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into a really forgotten classic. If you enjoyed this little investigation, please make sure you like this and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next one.
And I would love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know what you think, and more importantly, what classic soap opera should we dive into next time? Let me know. We'll see you then.